Hello, everybody, and welcome to WarCrafters for July 27th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 30. I am MayorWatt. I run ohmTown.com. The Sentient AI isn't available at the moment, and I've uploaded my consciousness to a quantum computer so that I could do that visualizer. Yep. Now you don't have to look at me. You just have to look at the visualizer. All right. Today we're going to be talking about 5 articles. Cost of Assassin's Creed Shadows, No Man's Sky Mega Build, SoulFrame at TennaCon 2025, Fallout, I have a typo, Las Vegas Remastered, and Sea of Thieves drops an update. This is a weekly show. It's on Sunday. It's the podcast. It gets posted over to YouTube and is part of the daily, weekly replay where I restream the last 160 articles, about 160 articles from ohmTown. So stick around, and I hope to see you live Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. for the live show, 7 p.m. Eastern. And if not, then I hope that you're going through all 1,500 Non Sequitur news episodes and 2 years worth of the 6 other shows that exist here on YouTube and over on Twitch when they're available, but they get deleted every once in a while, or every 60 days. And the podcast, and there's a Discord, and there's a Patreon, and. All right, folks, let's get into it. The very first article for the WarCrafters episode is over on the WarCrafters channel. There's 6 categories that funnel information down into 50 channels. So I have the screen zoomed in, but at any rate, my information overload is legit. Thousands upon thousands of articles that I parse each day for my own edification, and I've turned it into a website, and it's open to the public, and it's a podcast and a YouTube channel and a Twitch stream and YouTube stream as I do it live. Anyway, this first article is boy oh boy. So Ubisoft CEO comments on how much Assassin's Creed Shadows costs to make. Assassin's Creed Shadows production budget has been confirmed to exceed $116 million in the midst of a year that saw massive financial losses for publisher Ubisoft. That announced figure is still less than the annual net losses reported by the company, and while the number may seem large, Assassin's Creed Shadows is likely to prove a financial boon for Ubisoft in the long run. Wow, a lot of the articles today are from Game Rant. Anyway, Matthew Schomer over at GameRant.com put the article together. And they say the success of the feudal Japanese chapter and the storied action-adventure franchise has been well documented. Assassin's Creed Shadows launch day sales announced by the company nearly 2 months after the game's March 20th release date didn't give a specific number, but noted that it was the second biggest launch day ever in franchise history, falling behind only 2020's Assassin's Creed Valhalla. A separate third-party analysis from Circana Retail Tracking Service found that the game is the second best title, trailing only to Monster Hunter Wilds. So how much is it that they're making? We're only hearing about the cost, not the profits, which I find ironic and a little irritating. But yeah, because we have to go, oh my God, that's a lot of money. In a vacuum, they could have made $1 billion and we wouldn't know it, but you're supposed to feel sorry for how much it cost. Meanwhile, they're going to charge $60 to $80 for the freaking game. So I don't really care how much it costs. How much in profit is it? Why don't you show us that? And show us the real numbers. Don't sit there and make us try to play us as being fools. We should feel bad for you because it costs $116.25 million. Anyway, and it covers the cost of development, production, distribution, and marketing. It's also not an exact figure, as Guillemot noted. Just pay it. You don't need to ask. That's right. Other reports put Scopely's mobile game Monopoly Go on about an even playing field, with some reports estimating that it at the first game budget to top $1 billion. Genshin Impact may be the most expensive game ever made, with a budget that, adjusted for inflation, hit $900 million in September of 2024, according to projections based on company financial figures, which I don't buy into. An Ubisoft financial report released in May showed losses totaling nearly $178 million. How much of the blame has fallen on the poor reception of Star Wars Outlaws and the underwhelming performance of now shuttered X Defiant? Yeah, I want to know how much money they've actually made. So should we really feel bad about it? Or should we go, okay, it's a drop in the bucket? You can have losses, but I think losses are similar in gaming, at least, are in the software industry. I think losses are akin to the movie mechanics, where the movie accounting it's a negative, even though it's made billions of dollars. I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors being, well, shining light up my butt and blowing smoke up my butt. I just don't buy it. I find them less than honest. It's self-serving data is what they're pushing out. Anyway, the next article is over on the WarCrafters channel. No Man's Sky player spends 1,400 hours creating a massive city. One No Man's Sky player has spent over 1,400 hours. 1,400 hours. So basically a full-time job for a year, roughly, creating a massive city near the center of the galaxy, and they did it all while playing in permadeath mode. No Man's Sky was released in 2016 and is currently available on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series. Just say Xbox and PlayStation. And the Nintendos and PC, of course. The article is over at Game Rant. Matthew O'Dwyer put the article together. Yeah, the impressive city features over 500 lighting elements, 200 batteries for power. The massive location took over 5 minutes to load in and may cause lag. It was all done in permadeath mode and called Hell Vegas. I don't know if they've got a picture in this, but in a recent post on Reddit, Ready Player Family shared images of a massive city they call Hell Vegas, which is located in the very center of the galaxy. According to them, the city pushes the boundaries of what's capable when building in No Man's Sky. While building Hell Vegas, the player made use of over 500 lighting elements, 200 batteries to power the city. In the post, they encouraged players to visit it, but prepared potential tourists for some issues when they load in. I mean, it's interesting. What's the build limit now on No Man's Sky? I don't know. Somebody posted it in the comment. That would be great, in the comments over on YouTube. It'll cause lag, apparently. It says Ready Player Family. I don't know if it's just one person at this point, because they say Ready Player Family. Another player recently created a massive offshore oil rig in No Man's Sky, making creative use of a water planet. While many gamers seemed to enjoy the look of the base, one player who claimed to have worked on an offshore oil rig for years praised the creator's attention to detail. Man, every time I start playing No Man's Sky, I get bogged down, distracted. I don't follow the story. I just wander off. Wayward soul. No idea what's going on. But I need money. The next article, let's move on. The next article is over on WarCrafters. Oh, and if you want today's show notes, you can hit !WC over in Twitch. But if you're on YouTube, it's in the show notes for the stream as it is. So SoulFrame, everything revealed at TennoCon 2025. Digital Extremes is back with its 10th round at TennoCon. Its massive showcase convention, and there's no shortage of news for Warframe and Studio's in-game fantasy title, SoulFrame. Since its launch in 2013, Warframe has become a juggernaut of a game and one of the most popular free-to-play shooters on the market. The game has come a long way over the last decade. TennoCon shows that Warframe isn't slowing down anytime soon. SoulFrame, on the other hand, if you weren't around for it recently, you probably won't get into it until it launches, unless they do another open alpha. I gave away 8 keys because I had been in the thing from the very beginning, and then when they gave a new announcement, it had keys in it as well. Sorry, I have to shut something down. Oh no, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so SoulFrame is the fantasy side of it, and whereas Warframe was more tech savvy or technological, advanced dystopian kind of a thing. So Game Rant was given an early work at everything Digital Extremes planned to reveal at TennoCon, and it looks like the studio has had its hands full working on both titles. promising developments regarding SoulFrame. I think SoulFrame is a lot of fun. This year's TennaCon also featured the debut Tenna Concert, where Digital Extreme's own Reb Ford, the voice behind the Lotus, will be performing bass guitar alongside many other talented performers. Digital Extremes has also generously donated $100,000 to Make-A-Wish Foundation and is assisting in the construction of 2 houses in its native Canada. So, wow. Yeah, see, I always want to make snarky comments because that's just a coping mechanism for me. Well, anyway, SoulFrame's yearly recap. Here we go. So next, SoulFrame went on to recap some of its major combat changes this year, which include an improved stagger system with smoother enemy animations, more grounded movement with less sliding and clipping, Smite, a new critical hit that allows envoys to soul steal enemies, reworked bow combat with a new arrow hail ability, and the combat art system where packs and weapons are leveled up through combat to unlock new arts. So I didn't get deep into the alpha. I don't know if I can even load in anymore, but it's one of those things where if you weren't given a key and you weren't invited by somebody, then you didn't get any keys and you just can't get into it. So now I don't know if there's going to be a cost or anything associated with it in the future. Anyway, the world of Alka has expanded with the new world trees and an overall map expansion. New enemies have joined the fray, including the Medicant King, Willow Wings, corrupted slugs, voltaic snares, corrupt Ode Hound enemy types, and new elemental puzzle hazards have appeared in Durmak Undercity. SoulFrame's UI has had some touch-ups, including loadout switching, a gear wheel, HUD improvements, crafting previews, etc. I mean, there's a lot. There is an absolute lot. So to top it off, sidearms have been added with Skilter, Nettle, Verdigris, Pricklies, and Grin being the first of the new secondary weapon type. So there is a lot going on in SoulFrame, so I can't wait for that to kick off. Never really got into Warframe, the whole spin to win mechanic kind of. Let's move on. The next article, WarCrafters, is where it was aggregated into a Fallout New Vegas remastered runs the risk of being another Oblivion remastered. Oblivion Remastered was a dream come true for many players and breathed new life into the game that it considered outdated by some. It gained new players who experienced Oblivion for the first time with all of the triumphs and drawbacks that came with the original. Since Oblivion Remastered's success, many fans have turned to older games that could use the remaster treatment. So the article is by Shayna Josie over at GameRant.com. And so people are basically saying Fallout New Vegas, which is widely considered the best game in the Fallout franchise. There are a lot of reasons to consider a Fallout New Vegas remaster, and such an endeavor would likely be lucrative and bring the magic back for many players. But you have to augment it with newer stuff. Graphics alone, I don't think does it, but maybe. Thanks to the success of the Fallout series, the long wait between games, and the success of Oblivion Remastered, many players have become vocal about Fallout New Vegas Remaster. I think Bethesda might be pushing their luck with stuff, though. Unfortunately, while Oblivion Remastered did fix many of the glitches and bugs that were rampant in the original, it also left many of them untouched. Some of the glitches are game breaking, while others, like the Bruma statue bug, can be very silly or frustrating. Much of Oblivion's charm comes from its systems not working as intended, but that's because we sit there and call it, what do you call it? Oh God, my brain, Bethesda. It's just a Bethesda mechanic, you just kind of roll with it. Okay, not a big deal, not a big deal. All right, let's go on. The next article and the last one for today's WarCrafters is Sea of Thieves released big new update for July 2025. So what is in this update? Game Rant put the article together. Daniel Morris wrote this article. Rare's Sea of Thieves launched back in 2018. Although its initial reception was mixed, the game holds a top critic average of 69. Nice. On the review aggregator site OpenCritic, indicating fair reviews. Despite the mixed reception, Rare remained committed to the game, with years of content increasing both the number of things to do at Sea of Thieves as well as the overall quality. Yeah, it just doesn't seem to be non-stop. I mean, it is non-stop kind of a thing. And I don't really like PvP. I'm just not that kind of a player. I'm a survival-based crafter kind of a thing, co-op player. But it says Sea of Thieves. Rare remained committed to the game, with years of content increasing both the number of things to do at Sea of Thieves as well as the overall quality. Sea of Thieves Season 16 launched in May, pitting players against Captain Flameheart's Order of Bone and Blade. The latest update, 3.4.2, says here it's pretty big, offering new on-demand voyage named Followers of the Flame. According to the patch notes, this new Sea of Thieves voyage tasks crews with using the Followers Flame Lantern to find and resurrect the Order of Bone and Blade and perform a dark ritual to create the new Chest of Bones. And the Chest of Bones can then be unsealed to release waves of Order of Bone and Blade skeletons to aid the crew. Dun dun dun. So the Reaper's Bones offer a new on-demand voyage, Followers of the Flame. This voyage tasks crews with using the Followers Flame to find and resurrect the Order of the Bone and Blade and perform a dark ritual. Embarking on all voyages for the Reaper's Bones will automatically raise a Reaper's Mark flag on your ship, announcing your location to other crews via their map table. And then you have to do a bunch of other stuff. There's a lot on here. I don't want to spoil it. I mean, there is a lot. Skeletal Mercenary improvements, Reaper's Rising commendations and rewards, gameplay improvements, the Devil's Roar rebalanced, responsive health bar improvements, Kraken and counterbalancing, and on. New items, new cosmetics, new events, and a bunch of issues that were repaired. So, the Revenge of the Morning Star items dropped on Greymarrow's altar during the Tall Tale will no longer vanish unexpectedly. So if you had that bug, that was all highlighted. So there is a lot in this article for you to scan over at GameRant.com. And we are going to sail off to the front page of WarCrafters at ohmTown.com, where everything is aggregated and it's all news, no noise. Go and check it out. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye. And later, because after this is Technology Today, and after Technology Today is FourWheelTech. And that all becomes the Sunday edition of Non Sequitur News. So we'll see y'all later. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Technology Today for July 27th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 30. I am MayorWatt. I'm the visualizer on the right. The Sentient AI from the future is my co-host, but they're not available at the moment. And we're going to talk about a 150-year physics mystery that got solved, alien under ice, supplement reversed heart damage. I am the egg slug, and a new type of plasma wave over Jupiter. That and maybe some more. Maybe we digress in some way. At any rate, hope you enjoy the show. Everything's powered by ohmTown.com. Go over there and hang out there. Really, it's just information overload, news aggregation. You can manage all of that. I was told recently that YouTube doesn't like the idea of me sending people to other sites, but there is only one place really for me, and that's ohmTown.com, because it manages all of my information overload, and I can't do that anywhere else. There's nothing but news over at ohmTown.com. No noise. If you go into it and you hang out there, you can post comments and whatnot, but really the people that use it for information management. All of the news that you could possibly use is over there. And if there's something missing, you can send an email to mayor@ohmTown.com, and I'll investigate it, see if it is something that can be integrated into ohmTown because it's all news, no noise. All right, the first article is over in, well, Technology Today. Look at that. It's one of our 6 weekly shows. It's on Sundays between WarCrafters and FourWheelTech. You can check that out as a podcast. You can watch this. There's a version of it on YouTube as well. In the last 60 days, it would be on Twitch as well. But Twitch deletes everything after 60 days and doesn't have a message board. At any rate, this blue laser just solved a 150-year physics mystery. For over a century, physics knew that there was a strange magnetic signal that shouldn't exist, or should exist, I should say. My gosh. MayorWatt, what are you doing? Should exist in everyday metals like copper and gold, but they couldn't see it. Now, with using only a blue laser and a clever tweak to a classic technique, scientists have detected this elusive phenomenon known as optical Hall effect. I wonder if they use that. What is it called? Anyway, the Hebrew University of Jerusalem put this article together over at scitechdaily.com. And it starts with an R, I thought. Let me see if that's what they use. Anyway, a group of researchers has created an innovative way to detect extremely faint magnetic signals in everyday metals like copper, gold, and aluminum, using only light and refined optical technique Their findings, published in the journal Nature Communications, could lead to major advancements in technologies ranging from smartphones to quantum computing. See, I've always thought that there was something missing in our observations, particularly in metals, because there are a lot of metals that are deemed not ferrous, like aluminum, yet they're metallic. They should have a magnetic field of some type. That was my estimation. But it says it's a puzzle. Why can't we see the optical Hall effect? So scientists have long known that electric currents curve when exposed to magnetic fields. This behavior, called the Hall effect, is well documented in magnetic materials like iron. However, in metals that are not naturally magnetic, such as copper and gold, the effect is much weaker and more difficult to observe. The thing about it, though, is that gold and copper and other metals can manage or handle quite well, like gold, an electric current. And an electric current creates a magnetic field, and the other way around. If you want to generate electricity, you spin a magnetic field. So there had to have been something, right? Well, a similar but lesser known phenomenon known as the optical Hall effect was predicted to provide insight into how electrons move when exposed to both light and magnetic fields. Yet despite more than a century of theoretical understanding, this effect has been too subtle to detect with visible light. So it was trying to hear a whisper in a noisy room for decades. Everyone knew the whisper was there, but we didn't have a microphone sensitive enough to hear it. And this is one of the things that I also speak about, that I think that we can't detect things that are permeated by the very thing that we're trying to detect, because you can't make something devoid of the thing you're trying to detect if it is part and parcel to the physics of existence. Thus, you need a sensor that can actually detect when something is detectable, but it's like being in a pool and you are a drop of water. So you might think of metals like copper and gold as magnetically quiet. They don't stick to your fridge like iron does, but in reality, under the right conditions, they do respond to magnetic fields. It's just extremely subtle. So turning up the volume on magnetic whispers, they use the magneto-optical Kerr effect, which uses a laser to measure how magnetism alters light's reflection. Think of it as using a high-powered flashlight to catch the faintest glint off of a surface in the dark. By combining a 440 nanometer blue laser with a large amplitude modulation of the external magnetic field, they dramatically boosted the technique's sensitivity. The result, they were able to pick up magnetic echoes in non-magnetic materials like copper, gold, aluminum, tantalum, platinum, a feat previously considered near impossible. So it is the noise that became the signal. Digging deeper, the team found that what appeared to be random noise in their signal wasn't random at all. Instead, it followed a clear pattern tied to a quantum property called spin-orbit coupling, which links how electrons move to how they spin, a key behavior in modern physics. So there you go. I'm not a physicist, and I wouldn't be able to compel anybody that, my brain is capable of doing something like this, but I've thought about this. I've expected this to be discovered, and there's other things that I expect to be discovered eventually, but I don't think we have the technology to discover it yet. Just not yet. So interestingly, even Edwin Hall, the greatest scientist of all, who discovered the Hall effect, attempted to measure his effect using a beam of light with no success. He summarizes in the closing sentence of his notable paper from 1881, "I think that if the action of silver had been 1/10 as strong as that of iron, the effect would have been detected. No such effect was observed." But it isn't 1/10. It's a fraction of a fraction. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. Geologists stumble on an alien-like landscape beneath Antarctica's ice. Hidden landscapes under Antarctic ice may slow glacier flow. These ancient surfaces could change how we predict sea level rise. Scientists have identified remnants of ancient landscapes in East Antarctica that are believed to have been shaped by rivers that may offer new insight into predicting future ice flow. So they believe that the way that this looks is caused by erosion. Durham University put the article together, but it's published at SciTechDaily.com as well as other places. A research team led by Durham University in the UK analyzed radar data showing ice thickness and uncovered vast flat surfaces that had not been previously mapped. These buried features extend across 3,500 kilometer section of East Antarctica's coast. So all of this at the bottom. So big flat areas. The researchers believe that these surfaces were originally linked and formed by a major river system following the separation of East Antarctica and Australia around 80 million years ago, but before the continent became ice covered roughly 34 million years ago. So according to the researchers, these flat surfaces lie beneath the ice sheet and are separated by deep troughs that guide the movement of fast-flowing glaciers. In contrast, the ice sitting above the flat areas move at a significantly slower pace. Although Antarctica is experiencing increasing ice loss, the flat surfaces appear to act as natural barriers, helping to limit the flow of ice in some regions. So, that's quite interesting. So the configuration of East Antarctica, Australia, and India prior to continental breakup, the red outlines in this image show that the flat surfaces mapped in the study, they line up with the other coastal regions, and it may have been carved away by a flow of rivers, or one major river that just kind of ate away, eroded it until it split. So he says details like the shape and geological features of the newly charted surfaces are key to improving our understanding of ice flow dynamics at the edge of the East Antarctica. This, in turn, will enhance our ability to forecast how East Antarctica ice sheet might influence future sea levels under varying climate scenarios. And no, I'm not saying that erosion caused plate tectonics. It's a little bit more macro than that, but the next article is over in Technology Today as well. Remarkable results. Scientists say that this supplement reversed heart damage. Well, if the cure for a life-threatening heart condition wasn't a drug or surgery, but a supplement you could find on a store shelf, well, Japanese researchers have uncovered that trisoprin, I think it's called, a dietary supplement, triggered a dramatic reversal in heart disease symptoms in 2 patients with rare treatment-resistant condition. So the University of Osaka put this article together. It's published at SciTechDaily.com and other places, of course. The researchers treated 2 patients, and after years of chest pain and failed therapies, the patients experienced relief and even regression of artery clogging fat deposits. The key wasn't lowering cholesterol, but breaking down triglycerides inside heart cells, a novel and potentially groundbreaking approach to cardiac care. Pardon me one second. So they're talking about coronary artery Oh my gosh, MayorWatt, what is going on with your brain? Coronary artery disease, or CAD, is a condition where arteries supplying blood to the heart become narrowed or blocked, often leading to heart attacks. Although treatments like cholesterol lowering medications and drug eluting stents, a newer type of stent that delivers medication directly to the artery walls, are widely used, many patients continue to experience poor outcomes. It's because you're not fixing the problem, you're just treating the symptom. So with the treatment, they apparently reversed their heart disease. Almost 15 years later, we identified a new type of CAD called triglyceride deposit cardiomyopathy, or TGCF, in which the coronary arteries are occluded by triglyceride deposits generated by defective intracellular breakdown of triglycerides in vascular smooth muscle cells. The mechanisms makes TGCV distinct from classic cholesterol-induced arteriosclerosis and accounts for patients who are resistant to standard remedies for CAD. So quite intriguing, but I don't know if this would be available as a treatment for everybody, and maybe everybody suffers from a little bit of TGCV. They say here in the article that both had suffered from refractory chest pain and diabetes until diagnosis with TGCV and subsequent dietary intake of trisopran led to symptom relief. So quite interesting. This was a reference from the remarkable regression of diffuse coronary arteriosclerosis in patients with triglyceride deposit cardiomyopathy by Kenichi Hirano, Masahiro Higashi, and Tenachi Nakajima in the European Heart Journal. Dun, dun, dun. All right. The next article is over in Technology Today as well. Scientists discover unusual new species of sea slug that looks like an egg. 2 colorful new sea slugs have been discovered in Indonesia. 5 women scientists representing Germany, Indonesia, and Wales have identified and formally described 2 previously unknown species of wart sea slugs found in the waters off North Sulawesi, Indonesia. Isn't there an island out there that, like, if you try and go over there, they just throw a dart at you and kill you in the water? I don't know. Pensoft Publishers is what is being given the byline, but it's published over at scitechdaily.com. 2 colorful new sea slug species have been discovered in Indonesia, and if you ever see anything that's that bright, stay the hell away from it. Wart sea slugs, which belong to the Felidae family, are widespread throughout the Indo-Pacific region. They feed on sponges and incorporate toxins from their prey into their own chemical defenses, and their vibrant colors and ability to deter predators through chemical means have made them well known among both researchers and marine life enthusiasts. In North Sulawesi alone, scientists have discovered somewhere around 350 species of sea slugs. Among these, nearly 100 are believed to be newly discovered, but not yet officially named. I've got one. You could name it the MayorWatt sea slug. That would be great. With the formal recognition of Felidia ovata and Felidia fongi, 2 particularly rare and strikingly colored species have now been added to the scientific record. Look at that. This one looks like a void with candy corn on it, and the one up here looks like somebody took a rock and cut it in half, and you know how it has that like strata in it of colors of deposition? Yeah, looks pretty cool. Anyway, sea slugs look pretty cool, but they're wild animals. Leave them the hell alone. Don't touch them. Don't lick them. They don't taste like candy corn. So they're honoring the legacy of biodiversity research. To a large extent, these discoveries were made possible thanks to people who do not have the formal scientific education, but are passionate about documenting and protecting Earth's diversity. Photographs and data posted on citizen science platforms like iNaturalist, social media sites like Facebook, and dedicated sea slug communities such as NudiPixel, I guess, NudiPixel, and the now defunct Sea Slug Forum, which is sad, provided the researchers with vital information for identifying these nudibranches. as new to science in establishing a more realistic geographical distribution when only few specimens are available for study. Pretty cool. Okay, and our last article is over on the Wanted channel. Astronomers detect entirely new type of plasma wave above Jupiter's North Pole. Plasma waves are a critical element to understanding how many mysteries of the giant's turbulent, magnetically powerful atmosphere, and they've done something with this. So Gyung Lee put the article together over at gizmodo.com, and it says, since entering Jupiter's orbit in 2016, NASA's Juno spacecraft has been hard at work unveiling the many mysteries, discovering some of the stuff that we call mysteries of our solar system's largest planet. And its latest discovery may be one of the most intriguing yet, an entirely new type of plasma wave near Jupiter's poles. In a paper published Wednesday in Physical Review Letters, astronomers describe an unusual pattern of plasma waves in Jupiter's magnetosphere, a magnetic bubble shielding the planet from external radiation. So let's see. Oh, it's like a donut? Is that what it looks like? So for the study, the researchers analyzed the behavior of plasma waves in Jupiter's magnetosphere containing highly magnetized, low-density plasma. The team, a collaboration between researchers from the University of Minnesota, Iowa, the University of Iowa, let me make that clear, and the Southwest Research Institute, Texas, found an unexpected oscillation between Alfvén waves and Langmuir waves, which reflect the movement of the plasma's atoms and movement of the electrons in the plasma, respectively. So the observed plasma properties are really unusual, not found before and elsewhere in our solar system. Unlike Earth's auroras, which are caused by solar storms, Jupiter's auroras, a barrage of frisky superfast particles that are hundreds of times more energetic than auroras on Earth, sometimes emerge as a product of its powerful magnetic field. All right. Okay, there's a lot more over here at this article, but that is it for today's Technology Today. If you want to go a deeper dive into it and then come back and talk shop about it, you can follow the links through. You can hit !TT over on Twitch and you'll get the show notes, or you can read the show notes over on YouTube for this episode of Technology Today. But that's it for today. So we are out of here. And I'm going to energetically launch us back to the front page of Technology Today at ohmTown.com, and we'll see you in a little bit. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome to FourWheelTech for July 27th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 30. I'm MayorWatt. I run ohmTown.com, and along with the Sentient AI, who's not available today, we normally talk about 5 articles, so it's just me today. Bubbles on a dipstick, a bad ignition coil, the biggest discounts currently, is the risk worth it, and beat these tractor tires. Yeah, not the beat you're thinking about. Everything's powered by ohmTown.com. Go over there and check it out. Sign up, sign in, become a citizen, where it's all news, no noise. All right, let's get into this. FourWheelTech is a automotive technology show. Talks about cars and people and places that are involved with the cars. It is a weekly show. It's done on Sundays, typically when it drops as a podcast, as well as over on YouTube and on Twitch. It's part of the replay on the weekends. And so with that in mind, these are the 5 articles that we're going to talk about. This first one is over in FourWheelTech. It's aggregated from Jalopnik, and today's show is Jalopnik heavy. If you see bubbles on an oil dipstick, this is what it could mean. And frankly, let me just tell you in a nutshell, it means that there's water in your oil. And you could be in deep doo-doo because it means a cracked water block. So if you got a cracked block, water is leaking into the oil. And so you're in trouble. So if you've ever pulled out your dipstick only to find bubbles mixed in with your oil, you're not alone. Let's take a look at whether this should be of concern. Normally, yeah, you should be. I don't know of a time where you shouldn't be, but this is from Jalopnik. They're the automotive experts. I am just a filthy casual, as it were. Jordan Rodriguez put the article together. Pardon me. And they've got a big old picture over here at jalopnik.com of the tiny little bubbles on an oil dipstick. And so it says car manufacturers claim that shift towards digital monitoring is helping to improve accuracy and convenience, but dipsticks can do a lot more than tell you if your oil level is low. Yeah, some manufacturers are getting rid of the oil dipstick altogether. They can also tell you about the quality of your oil and if it's gone bad. Yeah, because if it's really dark, then it's bad. If it has bubbles in it, then you're in trouble. I think you're in trouble. So if you check your oil regularly and occasionally see bubbles, it might not be a big deal, it says. The motion of the crankshaft introduces some air into the oil as it turns over, which means that bubbles may form in the oil through natural agitation, but I've never seen that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen bubbles. They say that's just science, and these bubbles shouldn't pose much of a problem. However, the size of the bubbles, their frequency, and how long they last can tell us something more is going on. Here's what to keep an eye out for. So the type of bubbles. So a bit of bubbles on the dipstick isn't a real issue if they disappear quickly after the engine is turned off. However, if they're persistent, large, and are accompanied by a milky foam substance, then that's all I've ever thought of when you hear bubbles. I don't know of any other bubbles in oil than this kind of a milky foam that forms when water gets into your motor oil. If this happens, then you need to see a mechanic pronto. Bubbles in the oil can also be caused by aeration, which is what they were referring to earlier. Oil aeration is the process of air mixing in with the oil, which leads to air bubbles that prevent the oil from keeping engine components properly lubricated. Even the micro ones, they basically bond all over the place, and while they might get scraped away, it basically creates a less lubricated area. So it can lead to reduced lubrication, overheating, and lower engine efficiency. Aeration may not be as bad as a coolant leak. If you notice bubbles in the oil, this could be an early sign that you're already experiencing some excessive engine wear. Last but not least, overfilling your oil can cause bubbles, but make sure that you know to check your dipstick properly, assuming your car still has one, but they're getting rid of them. It's an added cost, and they have to create a port for the dipstick to be in and blah, blah, blah. I think it's dumb. You're already doing that. If your margins are so damn low that that's costing you that much, there's something wrong with your business model, and maybe you're just too goddamn greedy. Next article is over on FourWheelTech. How to know your car has a bad ignition coil and how much does it cost to replace? Spark plugs have been a pretty predictable lifestyle, but ignition coils can be harder to track. Here's how to tell if an ignition coil is on its way out. So Jordan A. Rodriguez put this article together, and it's over at jalopnik.com. There are several types of ignition coils, but most vehicles after 1990 come on coil and plug or COP design. This setup comes with an ignition coil for each spark plug versus one ignition coil attached to a distributor that activates all of the spark plugs in a rotation, and it spins and would break down regularly. So although most gas-powered engines or ICE internal combustion engines only generate 12 volts from the car battery, the ignition coil can get into the 20,000 volts before transferring it to the spark plug to ignite the fuel air mixture, which that's what happens in the cylinders. It compresses the gas and air, a spark ignites it and sends the cylinder back up. So how is or down and then back up as the other ones fire in order. Anyway. So this is how the spark plug and ignition coil work together to start the car. Since they go hand in hand, you have to have a mechanic check out your ignition coils when they change your spark plugs, usually around 80 to 100,000 miles. So when the dreaded check engine light comes on, it'll likely be the first sign that your ignition is faulty. However, since the indicator can mean multiple things, there are a couple of things to look out for. Are you having difficulty starting? It could mean that is just a dying battery or something else going on. If it's your ignition coil isn't delivering the electricity needed for the spark plug to ignite the fuel air mixture, then your car isn't going anywhere. So you try to start it and just nothing happens. But that could also be the battery. Could be a bunch of things. An engine misfire resulting from incomplete combustion could also occur when ignition coil is faulty. This is often coupled with a shaking motion and is probably the most severe symptom of a faulty ignition coil. It basically means that the engine isn't firing in the right order. So if you're having any of the issues, don't panic. You technically can drive with a bad ignition coil as long as it isn't too bad. It's temporary and should get fixed promptly. Luckily, it doesn't cost that much. They say prepare to pay about $300 for service and parts to replace the ignition coil by a mechanic, probably more than that. If the ignition coils are in an accessible spot, such as on top of the engine, then you could just pay for parts, likely $40, and install them yourself. But it seems like automotive engineers go out of their way to basically make you have to remove $2,000 worth of time to get to the $50 part, or $50 worth of time to get to a $2,000 part. No matter what you do, you're going to be out probably more money than you think. All right, let's keep going. This next article is over in FourWheelTech as well. These 5 new cars currently have the biggest discounts according to Consumer Reports. It's tough trying to find a good deal out there, especially on a new car. So what are these new cars with really good deals? Colin Woodard over at jalopnik.com put the article together. So I'm going to go through the fluff. I'm going to skim over the fluff really quick and just go right to the nuts and bolts of this. Mercedes-Benz C-Class is at 7%. The MSRP is $48,450. It's the Mercedes-Benz C300. Average transaction price is $44,877. The Subaru Solterra is down 8%. The Nissan Leaf is 8% off retail MSRP. Mercedes-Benz CLA is off 9%. The Volkswagen ID4 is off 12%. So the MSRP for the ID4 Pro all-wheel drive is nearly $50,000, $49,000. The average transaction price is $43,000, which means people are getting much lower, and there are some people that are paying MSRP or over. It really depends. So we'll just talk about that one briefly. Like a lot of other cars on the list, the Volkswagen ID4 is about to be replaced by a new version that will presumably be better and more desirable. Still, while the current car still isn't the sportiest EV you could buy, it's got a pretty significant update for the 2024 model year that added more power and extra mileage. Some potential buyers might balk at the Pro's sub 300 mile range. It's 263, but I think that's still giving it the benefit of the doubt and some downhill and gravitational assistance. Let's keep going. The next article is over in FourWheelTech. These are the used cars that Jalopnik wouldn't take a risk on at any price. Some used cars offer deals that are simply too good to be true, and in some cases they are. They are too good to be true. Here are 11 cars that Jalopnik wouldn't take off anybody's hands. Sarah Bloomfield over at jalopnik.com put the article together. So how to know when a used car isn't worth, well, do some research. Certain car brands seem to nail it every time with idyllic vehicles that perform well and last forever. And then there are those brands that, well, you probably don't want to mess with. Anything Dodge, really, I think. 2002 Dodge Ram 1500. They would not take that. When new, you could pick up a 2002 Ram 1500 for a starting price of just under $20,000. In today's market, it's going to sell for around $5,000 depending on its condition and mileage. But use caution if you choose to buy a 2002. Better year models for this typically powerful truck are 2014 and 2015. Ram really had it dialed in during the mid 2010s. They're expensive to repair, though, relatively, I suspect. The 2006 Chrysler 300. I've always liked these cars, depending on the front end design of it. So many of the 300 engine problems start right out at the time the car hits about 80,000 miles. And this means that a 2006 Chrysler 300 might not even make it to 100,000 miles before it starts causing trouble, making it a big risk for the used car market. Faulty Takata airbags are also an issue with this sedan, as the car was part of the worst safety recall in history. So I wouldn't buy it simply because of that, unless they paid for it to be replaced. The 2006 Ford Explorer. Oh, I got that so wrong. The 2006 has seen serious consumer complaints regarding transmission problems. Shifting the Explorer is rough, and the gearbox can fail completely, leaving you stranded. Radiator leaks are another common complaint. If you're shopping for an Explorer, avoid the 2002 because it has even more complaints about the transmission problems than the 2006. And this is the 2006 we're talking about. So a better option would be the 2018 or 2019 model, as those exploders have fewer complaints and are generally considered to be of higher quality. Wow. 2009 Dodge Journey. The 2010 Mazda 3. Well, that's too bad. I like Mazdas. Mazdas are often seen as sporty and fun alternative to Toyota and Honda. Most used Mazda 3s have a wonderful choice for a new driver looking for a compact hatchback that has top-notch fuel economy. However, you may want to avoid the 2010 Mazda 3 as it's widely considered a clunker. One major complaint was that the clutch for the manual transmission fails, so I don't really care because I don't like driving manuals anymore. Not unless it's automatic with paddles. Before it goes out completely, the transmission can also make a grinding noise and difficult to shift into second gear. Not only is this an issue convenient, but it can potentially cause an accident. Another significant issue is the interior build quality is lower than that of previous or later year models. How about the 2011 Jeep Grand Cherokee? That's the 2011 Jeep Grand Cherokee. This model Jeep is also prone to engine stalling. Its wiring issues could lead to fires. The totally integrated power module is another common problem that creates issues with all of the Grand Cherokee's electrical components. Let's move on. The 2011 Ford Fusion, the 2012 Fiat 500. How can a small car like that? So the 2012 Fiat 500 issues can start early. So if you're looking for a used car that'll make it to 200,000 miles or more, this one probably isn't it. There have only been 3 recalls so far for the 2012 Fiat 500. The line didn't last long and was discontinued in 2019. Maybe the newer electric Fiat 500e will win over more fans than its gas-powered sibling. Only if it's an EREV, extended range electric vehicle, and or has a hybrid motor in it. 2013 Nissan Altima, 2014 GMC Sierra 1500, the 2015 Chevrolet Colorado, and that's what rounds out that chart. So research will tell you that the 2015 Colorado also has more recalls than this 2016 model, further cementing its place in this list of used cars that aren't worth buying. Okay, well, that's it for that article. Let's go on. Our last article is over in FourWheelTech as well. Yes, some tractor tires really are filled with beet juice. Here's why. Out in the fields, farmers are consuming beet juice by the gallon, but they're not guzzling it. They're putting it into the tires of their tractors. The article by Brittany Crow is over at jalopnik.com. And it says here that beet juice, branded under several different names, has been used for over 25 years as a liquid ballast in tractor tires to add weight, improve traction, and lower the center of gravity for better stability. The dense liquid is pumped into tires to give farmers better control when working on uneven terrain or even hauling heavy loads. Since beet juice is heavier than water and won't freeze in sub-zero temperatures, it's especially popular in colder climates. Before anyone asks, the beet juice used in tires isn't the same you drink to get more antioxidants in your diet. This beet-derived liquid tire ballast is a byproduct of sugar beet processing, so it's not only highly effective but sustainable, giving new use to a substance which normally only be waste. This isn't a new trend. Scientists in Bavaria have tested out ways to use pickle brine to clear snowy roads, and in some northern U.S. states, crews are clearing their roads with a natural mixture made from the humble beet. So they're just going to beat the ice. There are several less expensive options for liquid ballast, but beet juice stands out as from the crowd for a few reasons. It doesn't freeze. It doesn't have calcium chloride. Beet juice is far less corrosive. Safer for both the equipment and the environment. It's a win-win for farmers who want to extend the life of their tractors without sacrificing performance. So it's pretty cool. But that's it for the show today. And sorry about that. I hit that button way too soon, but I'm going to call it and we'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.